Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Never in a Million and tonight's business chat is inspired by two of my new subbies. So welcome to all the new subscribers. I've gotten a couple of new ones and thanks for returning to the channel if you're oldie but goodie. So tonight, the business chat, I'm going to answer two questions. One was on inventory management and one was just to check and see if my math is mathing. No problem. And it was actually two great questions. Okay. So I'm going to start with is the mathing question. So I had someone ask, and it was a very genuine question and it made a lot of sense to me. If I am having a budget of maybe, $500, $800 for a holiday, and I like to do my gifts 10 times the money, then how is it that I'm able to make $20,000 or $15,000 or anything over $8,000? Because if I had $800 times 10, that would be $8,000. How is that possible? Well, one of the things is I have a zero-based budget, which I've mentioned before in a video. And it's what I call, I don't know the exact definition of a zero-based budget, but each holiday I subtract $800 out of my total or whatever I spent from one holiday to the next. So now it would be from Father's Day to the next time I go out street selling will be on Thanksgiving around that time. And I do it for street sales. I don't really do it for vendor events. But I guess I can do it for vendor events. I don't know. I guess I told a fib there. I have, because when I did my Easter vendor event, I was able to break even there. So the next vendor event will be the next time. So from Father's Day until then, whatever I spend, I'll subtract out of my next selling day. And that would mean that every item I have purchased would have been free. So I do have some carryover items, a few items that carry over from holiday to holiday, and I have paid for them. So I still use those items, of course, and so that would mean that they have been already paid for or covered for. Okay, so that is one way that I do my cost and get my costs down. And another way is I have been a remodel shopper for decades, about a decade, I would say. So I would go to remodels, and they used to go on Sundays. And so I would travel, and I say but my whole family would travel as a team, and we would go around Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama. Even my parents have done one in Mississippi without me. So the Southeast areas to Dollar Generals that were closing or remodeling, mainly remodeling, not closing. I need to reframe that. And then on Sunday, if you did your research, you would be able to find penny items. The employees were supposed to pull them, but a lot of times they didn't. And we would go and rack up and clean house. And there's some shorts on my channel that has some of those remodels there. And you can actually see some of these products that I'm going to be using today in those videos. That has since changed. I think it changed around end of the holiday season, starting to be in November. So now Dollar General, was very wise, and they started closing their stores on that penny Sunday and open them up on Thursdays. And then they would send in a recovery team who would go and pull all the pennies. And so I've been to a couple of remodels on like a Thursday or a Friday, and gotten maybe a handful, maybe 5 items. Some I've gotten, I think like the most I got was like 8 or 9 items. So it has changed for me. But yes, I make a lot of gifts that are straight penny items. And so that helps bring your cost, obviously your cost of goods down and your profit sky high. So you guessed it, in this video, I will be making a gift out of nothing but penny items. So, the investment on this gift that I will be making is about 9 cents. So yes, 10 minus 1 cent. So a dime minus a penny would equal 9 cents. And that's how much I paid on this gift in total. A lot of these pennies are on my channel, and it's always accompanied by a receipt, because some people find it hard to realize that you can actually get items for a penny. And it is a lot of work. So it's not something that you can, I don't just go to my corner store and say, give me all your penny items. I often drive a lot of distances. Sometimes I go in and I don't see pennies. I usually get them on Tuesdays or whenever the items have pennied now, more so than remodels. But because I have done, and I don't want to keep on saying because this is a true family affair. I have recruited friends to help. I have recruited every single type of member of my family, children, the elderly, sisters, brothers, anything has gotten a penny. If you're in this family, Never in a Million's family, you have gotten a penny. In-laws, everything. So we would go as a team and we would grab up all those pennies. And so I still have a mass of pennies or penny items from 2-3 years ago, actually. And that will bring us a little bit to our next topic. And I might break in between to kind of just show you what I'm doing here. I am taking these ribbon choices. I showed you the ribbon choices. I use floral satin. And most of my floral satin comes from lowfloresupplies.com. And that's lofloresupplies.com. And then the rest of it, that's also where I sent Boss Lady Fee, Birth and Boss with Felicia. I sent her some from that website. And their shipping was very fast. And then the rest of those colors that I get that I can't find on that website, I get from the Hamper House here in Georgia, okay? In Forest Park, Georgia. And so I use that to kind of introduce my colors. I'm out of green for Christmas, which is bad. So I use that teal to kind of introduce some of the colors together, which is in that 5 Deep Breaths. Oh, yes. And a lot of people, when I did my review, asked, what is 5 Deep Breaths? Is this Dollar General brand of products over here, these bath products on my left-hand side, which are a body cream and a kind of like a foam and bath oil and wash or something of that nature. And it also comes with a scrub. So those were penny items, and those are 5 Deep Breaths. That's the name of the brand. And I'm showing you here that little box up there, if you can see. That's how that candle came. And that's my watch tan line on my wrist. But yes, so I'm going to use a candle there, and I'm trying to fill around with this. This also came from a remodel. A lot of people also got this at resets. I wasn't really lucky with resets, so I got most of those items like that at Dollar General remodels. So yes, every single item, including the container itself, is a penny. And that container was originally $4. I think these products have been on sale for $4.50. And they've also been on a couple of clearance events. I didn't buy any then. I don't want to see any more of these products. And the lotion really ain't that best of a product. But I'm going to just roll with these since I have them and they are in my stockpile. I am thinking about the best way to do a giveaway too, to get rid of some of those 5 Deep Breaths products. But I'll have to figure that out. How to do a remodel. How to do a giveaway, excuse me. I don't really do lives on my channel. So I don't really know the best way to carry out that. So I'm fiddling around with that. But I also want to address the other question that I had about inventory management. It's what I think is a new subscriber. Hey, how are you doing? I don't remember her name. Hopefully I'll be able to go back and find the channel name and tag it in here. But she had asked if I used any software for inventory management. Never in a Million has been blessed with a memory of an elephant, and so I don't necessarily need that. And I have even memorized, like, my best friend who I taught how to do baskets. I know her stockpile like the back of my hand. I know some of the content creators' stockpiles like the back of my hand. I have just really been blessed to have a photographic type of memory. Even so much that I can memorize my customers. I even can remember gifts that they bought in the past. And it has served me very well. So I have this one customer who always likes to get a nice big expensive gift. And I remember it was Valentine's, but he had already purchased for me on Christmas, and I didn't have anything that was kind of high dollar left except for a robe gift. And I would not let him purchase that because he had just purchased her a robe, and I recalled, and it's on my channel, a Get 'em Love robe gift. It was called Winter White robes or something like that, of a short, and he had purchased that, and I did not want him to give her a robe, just a month and a half later. And he was like, "Oh, good catch. I don't want to show up with the same gifts. You think I ain't paying attention?" So yeah, my memory have served me very well. I have a lot of returning customers and loyal customers, and I kind of, remember their life events. So I had one customer who daughter just got a new home, and she was just having, a new baby. And so she was coming to get her Mother's Day gift, and I was able to kind of shop around and create a gift for her, really, hoping that she would come back and have a gift that was, waiting for her, and say, "This would be perfect because didn't your daughter just move in a new house and is having a baby?" And she just thought that was so funny that I would remember that. So long story short, I can basically memorize my kind of entire stockpile, as well as the purchase price of items. So I've just been blessed in that way. So I don't really use the inventory management system. Another thing is that my stockpile is not very vast, that I'm losing merchandise or forgetting about it. Now there has been some situations where I have been at a remodel and then it was closer to my storage unit and just dumped the items in the storage unit. Sorry about that. I had a visitor out here on the porch. But I have just dropped the items at the storage unit just so we didn't have to drive back with all the items. So I have kind of forgotten items in that type of scenario where I thought, I had collected all those items, but there were still some left in the storage unit. So I say all that to say, when you start getting mass amounts of inventory that you can't really keep rotating, sometimes it's more of a detriment. So things can get lost, or you'll have to repurchase items, or they can even get damaged. Okay. So I do work in my basement, and I don't like to have stuff on the floor because if a basement floods, or if you have items in the attic and, there's a leak or some type of damage happens, you can damage your merchandise that is used to make money. And so, of course, we have insurance, but, the replacement value sometimes is, not equivalent to what they'll give you for insurance, okay? And it's not how much we could have made to try to find that on a replacement. So I say all that to say, when I am going through my inventory, I like to use up inventory, and as I purchase new items, I'm usually using those items, okay? And if you notice, just take notice of some of the big basket makers that are on YouTube who, as soon as they're buying a product, they're making a gift with it, and they're constantly rotating that product. Now, my stockpile is mainly of kind of staple filler items. So Bath and Body Works, Dove, soaps, lotions, and potions, things like that have shorter shelf life that I'm constantly rotating out. Okay. I am not going to, stockpile Christmas PJs. I even said that during Easter. I'm not storing Easter eggs for, a whole year. Even if they come on a penny. I don't feel like Easter eggs add that much value into my Easter baskets, so much so that I should be storing them for a whole year after they pennied out. So I like to keep my items very tight, and it has served me well. Now, that might not serve everyone. I'm not sure, but I like to have a stockpile that I can easily rotate out, and I know where I can get a lot of these same items, okay? I know for a fact that I can go, anytime I drive out there, I can get Bath and Body Works for $3, okay? I don't mind, having a coupon and getting it for $2.25. But at the end of the day, it is only worth a Bath and Body product, or any product that is going to be put on your body, is only worth to me $3. Now, have I splurged a little bit? Yes, but the common practice is $3 or less. So sometimes when there's a deal out there and a lot of people are running to, Ollie's, and getting the $1.99 Bodycologies, to me, I can pay, 25 cents more with my coupon and get Bath and Body Works. And in my area, and this isn't everybody's area, a Bath and Body Works brings more value than Bodycology. Okay? Same thing with the pop shelf items. When everybody was running there, I was jealous, but I didn't run because they were $1 a piece. And I had so much of this 5 deep breaths, it didn't make sense for me to pay $1 if I had a whole bunch of these penny items. Now, for many people, that did make great sense, and I'm glad that they got them, and I was envious that they got them. But for me, in my inventory and my pricing structure and my budget, it didn't make sense for me to buy $1 product when I actually had a surplus of penny products. Now, when they went on clearance event and they were like 30 something cents from the store that I was shopping in, which was a 70% store, and it was like remodeling or going out of business. And so it was like 30 something cents. That I bought a few pieces. I didn't even clear their shelves. But then, if you remember my short, when it went to a penny, I looked up on one store, and there was just tons of it there, and I got a whole cart full of it, or near a whole cart full. So that also plays back to what I said previously. For me, if it is in my budget at the buying price that I want to pay for it, I know that the Lord will provide it for me. And I know that seems crazy to some people, but I have always operated in the way that if it's meant for me to be, it'll be there at the price that I am comfortable spending. Like I mentioned, this is a family business. I got a lot of overhead. I tried my parents and everybody else who helped me sell. I try to cut them in a little bit, and I just can't donate out of my well-earned check, mass amounts of money for inventory that's just going to sit around. Okay. So that's all my little spiel about the inventory management. Just to kind of recap, it would be 1, to have a smaller inventory, 1 that you can constantly flip. 2 would be to stick in a certain price range. And then 3, for me, it's always about having items that I can turn into more than 10 times my profit. Okay. But with that same regard, just because things are a penny, I have learned not to clear shelves. So when I make the instance for the Easter eggs, it doesn't make sense for me to go and get every penny Easter egg and then have to store that for a whole year when it doesn't bring much value to my Easter gifts. Now, should I maybe get 1 or 2 packs? Probably. But even for that, it's not worth it to me. And it could be worth it to other people. I'm not saying that, for other people, it's not something that you should be doing. So I'm very strategic. I did my little tour of my organization, and what all I had, and it was basically everything that you saw there, besides about 3 or 4 trash bags full of brown dot, and a tote that's stuffed under my couch full of socks. And then I do have a couple of toys. Now, when it comes to toys in Easter, I am so envious of all y'all basket ladies who, make these what seems like $1 million toys. Easter is not my favorite holiday, and I don't like toys. I can't store them. They're odd to store to me. And the price of a toy is just too expensive. And then my area is full of, honestly, single people, or people who are buying for their, niece, nephew, their grandkids, and they don't want to spend that much money on those kids. Like y'all can get, $100 big Easter basket, $65, $85. They ain't spending that around here. Okay, so back to my little basket. I'm making this bow, and I have tried to do y'all a bow tutorial, but this is the best I can do. I just know how to make this bow. I don't think my tutorials will give you guys some justice. So I did see, of course, I think Birth and Bosses with Felicia and Designing with Nessa, they have some floral satin tutorials on this. But there is also one other lady, and I'm going to tag her, well, not tag her, but put her channel in there. She is a florist from Ireland, I think she is. It's like Kay's Florist, and her bow technique is the closest to mine. It's not the same, but it's the closest. Okay, so I have finished this basket here, and I kind of want to recap with you while I bag it up. This is what is my version of a Christmas time or wintertime Burr basket. It's got the blanket, it's got the bath products, a little scripture cross, a little monthly planner, some fuzzy socks, a candle, and a wreath in it. Okay, all those items were penny items, and it cost 9 cents. And what I want you guys to do is to tell me what price you would put on this basket, and then tell me what your profit would be. Okay, and that right there is the math on how I can spend a certain amount of money and go over just the normal 10 times. Okay, so if I'm putting dollars and cents in baskets, of course I want the 10 times. But what makes me kind of get over that as far as my overall profit for the holiday would be using these penny items and then operating on what I call that zero-based budget. So where every year my items are paid for, and I can keep rotating the extra surplus into other gifts. And so I can always meet that number. So I think on my last sheet that I showed you was like 340. Sometimes I do over that, and I do way over that when I include my flowers. So some people commented and asked about flowers, and it is very touch and go with flowers for me, because I mentioned this in an earlier video that I did. I work with a sales rep, and I order my flowers the very last minute. And typically on holidays, I'm just saying, give me what you got at a very cheap cost. And so I usually try to pay about maybe 2 or 3 times my $95, so no more than like $300. And I try to create as many arrangements as I can with those flowers that he gives me. And so I use to do probably about 40 bouquets, and about, I would say about 35 arrangements. So and it varies from holiday to holiday. I know that I want some bouquets for all my items that are 95 and higher, some just like grab and go bouquets, but I also do arrangements, and those sell out very fast. I also do a 1 count rose, a single rose for $15. And I say a single count rose, but it's not just rose and baby breath and then filler like a normal single count rose would be. It's typically, instead of that, all that other filler, I add flowers. So it looks like more flowers, but it's only 1 rose. And that's how I can ask the $15 for 1 single rose. And I sell out every single time. And usually it's an officer, a police officer that comes and get most of them. But I usually do about 25 to 30 of those as well. And he comes and he'll get however many people they have on the force all the time, and he'll just get those. He also got, this last Mother's Day, all those little gifts that I had with like the little canisters, those little plaques we had that look like watering cans. I did a short on all of those. He bought every single one of those for the ladies on the force. That was so nice. But yeah, so I have talked a lot here. I showed you, and here I am counting the amount of pennies, and it's 9 cents. Like I said, it's actually a little bit cheaper than that, because remember that pack of socks, I only put 1 pair in there, so that's really 8.5 cents. But of course I use a bag and a bow and some shred that went in with there, and some filler paper that I pay for. So yeah, but this is how I kind of make sure that I get the profit that I want. And you guys remember down below to tell me how much that you would pay for this, and then how much you think your profit is, in the comments down below. And then keep on asking questions while I'm making my winter gifts. I'll keep on doing these business chats if you guys like them. If you don't, just tell me to be quiet and you're tired of the business chats, okay? All right, guys, we've come to the end. Have a good rest of your evening or your day whenever you're seeing this. And we'll holla. All right, good night.